wherever you are. So today I'm going to talk about the MDM and metadata management. Bit kind of a warning. It's quite conceptual topic today, but I have provided a lot of examples for you to relate this topic with the day-to-day life working in IT sector. And this topic not only encompassing the self-host stuff, but also the systems around it. So if you are working along with the self-host and other technology in your organization, it might be very helpful for you to think about the MDM and what other people are doing in other IT teams, especially in a data team, and what they're exactly doing in the organization with respect to the data over there. So let's go into the detail of this one. So this particular session is part of the Decode certifications, and where Manmohan, Bhavna, and Hari and myself, okay, are going to talk about the various topic. We already had the two sessions where Manmohan talked about and Hari already talked about a few concepts of the whole designer certifications. And this week is my turn, and next week Bhavna will talk about the reporting and little bit about me. So I'm the domain architect responsible for the B2B digital and B2C CRM in Canon Europe. I already completed my 14 certifications, and out of that 12 certification, I did it in the last 10 months or something like that one. So kind of a 1 month, one certification, 1 month. And I completed application and system architect. And as Manmohan stated that also I'm a city aspirant and already preparing for that one. So I'm already part of a different user group where I'm deep diving into the CTA workshops. And if you want, you can connect me via LinkedIn over there. So about the group itself, I think the one nice thing about the Salesforce is about helping people, each other, and building the community and sharing the knowledge. That's where your knowledge get increased. If you keep it with yourself, okay, it stays over there and it decay over the time. But if you really want to go with the sharing of the knowledge, then it really empower you and also brings the confidence in terms of public speaking, I would say, or putting a topic or convincing to your management on a certain topic. So the other also the lightweight communication skills that you improve over the time over here. So that nice things about the Salesforce community. And regarding the certification, I would like to tell you something about very important. Okay, consider the certification as the gateway for getting the knowledge, not the other way around, because the certification do expire, but knowledge not. And with respect to the knowledge, the basic law is that if you read something for 5 times, it goes in your brain and nobody can wipe up from your memory itself. So this reason why I'm over here, two reasons. One is that I also learned this certification, study and all those from the communities, what are the best practices and all that. So I'm giving back now to the community. And the second one also, I'm preparing for a CTA. So for me, it's kind of a revision for the MDM topic. So any question comes in a CTA, I can confidently face those questions. So just be involved within a communities and don't treat as a milestone as a complete of a certification, but consider as a one of the steps to gaining the knowledge. That's very important. So moving on, so we are going to talk about the master data management and metadata management in this session, and still many sessions to go in future. And we are going to cover almost 70% of the courses material over here, 10% for the master management and metadata management is 7%. Let's start with the master data management over here. And as a part of this one, what you will learn today, okay, the multiple full pack agenda today, the base layer application strategy defined by the Gartner, but we'll go through that one. It's very important to know how it works at enterprise level. Definition of the master data management, what exactly it is and how it relates to us. Then there is also a concept called system of record, what it is and how we can map entities with respect to the systems. Then also there is a concept called source of truth, and also you might have a question that what is the difference between a system of record and source of truth. So I will explain that one. There is also another thing like a canonical data model. Some company do employ that one as one of the important strategic choice, and also the use case, how that canonical data model can be used in integrations. What are the hierarchical managements? We'll also look at that one very quickly. The data migration, we have a complete session next week, but I will just touch base with respect to the MDM, the consideration. Then also we'll talk about the managing data conflicts, how to do that one. And it's only the data that you have in a system is not enough. So you also need to enrich the data from other system. So that's what we are going to talk about, the external data for the enrichments. Then also data matching techniques. If there are multiple records, then how you can say which is the golden record, and also the data survivor techniques, which talks about the which data to be chosen for the migration purpose over there. The full pack agenda, it's quite the theory lesson, I would say. Okay, not too much touch into the self-host, but it's all about the ecosystem where a self-host and other systems comes together, and then we have this MDM concept to be applied on that one. I have provided a multiple examples, so but if you have a question, please put it in a chat and then we can take it later on at the end of the session. So moving on, the base layer application strategy defined by the Gartner. So I will read that one, the first part, then I will explain that one. The first is the system of record. So what is system of record? Is nothing but the package applications, or it can be a homegrown systems that supports the core transactions of any organizations. For example, it could be order management or it could be HR systems over there. And these systems, they get rarely changed, might be once in a 10 years or more or something like that one, and these are the well established systems within your organization over there. So those systems are kind of the backbone for any organization to run the business. The second one, the system of differentiation. So here we have some industry specific capabilities over there, and these systems need to be reconfigured frequently to adjust the business demands because they get changed every now and then. For an example, the loan processing system at the banking system, might not be the same loan processing system or the kind of a business process they runs almost for 5 years. They almost change it after, for an example, 2 3 years or something like that one, so that they can provide a better experience for loan processing on their customers over there. Same for a customer service. Today we have the kind of a self-service portal, from SelfHosted Community. Then it got evolved into the chatbot and other stuffs around that one. The things change, okay, but not so rapidly, but in the pace layer of 2 or 3 years, or I would say something. Then we have a system of innovations. These are the systems get changed quite frequently, especially the mobile apps and all other kind of things. Especially with respect to the marketing platforms, SEO systems and all that, those get consistently changed with respect to the digital dimensions that comes into the picture over there. So we have a three systems: the system of record, system of differentiations, and system of innovations. How it relate to the MDM? So the first one, the system of record, is quite related to the MDM systems over there. So we'll go through about how it related in the coming slides over there. But before that one, let's look at the definitions of the master data management. I will read it for you, then I will break it into the each and every word over there. The master data management (MDM) is a technology-enabled discipline in which business and IT work together to ensure the uniformity, accuracy, stewardship, semantic consistency, and accountability of the enterprise official shared master data access. So let's talk about a uniformity. So suppose if there is a customer name, okay, in one of the system, you need to be also called a customer name in other systems over there. So there has to be uniformity around that part. Accuracy. If suppose you defined a mobile number with a 10 digit, okay, in a particular country or something like that one, then you also need to have that one in all the systems follow the same kind of a conventions for that one. Same for the address validations and all those kind of stuff that comes in a picture. Stewardship. Somebody need to work upon a data dictionary. We'll touch base upon in a metadata part over there. Who is the guy who is maintaining the what are the different data entities that we have in organizations, and also what are the different attributes of that data entity. Semantic consistency. So the semantic consistency is nothing but how you provide the nomenclatures to the different data entities and the data elements over there. And accountability, who is taking the ownership of owning that particular data set over there. For example, if you are owner of the product data hub, then you are accountable to define any additional attribute that required for the product, and that can be then send it to the downstream systems over there. So just to put it in a example how it works over there. So that's the second line that comes in a picture, that a master data is a consistent and uniform set of identifiers and extended attributes that describe the core entities of the enterprise, including customer, prospects, citizens, suppliers. So nutshell, for example, we might have a customer data hub within organizations where the customers are masters. There could be logistic systems where the logistic details are mastered in that one. So that logistic system is master for that particular data entity as such. So coming back to the system of record that we discussed over there. So the MDM concept, it mostly related to the system of record. And one of the main reason for that one, because system of record, the systems where mostly the data entities are closely related to. For an example, in a Salesforce, we can have a contact as the for contact, the Salesforce could be a system of record. So it means for all the marketing purpose, data has been used from a Salesforce, and a Salesforce is the source of truth for that particular data entities over there. But for order management, okay, the orders are the very important, and in that sense, the orders are master in the ERP system compared to the Salesforce. So there is a kind of a trade-off over there around that particular part. And just to put it in a perspective, okay, just to think about from example point of view how it works. So we have a system of records, CRM, ERP, and product hub and SCM, okay, supply chain management. And at bottom, you can see the entities are, for example, you can say for a CRM, customer for customer, the CRM is the system of record, and also it's for the attributes around that one. For order, the system of record could be ERP, and for product could be product hub, and for supplier it could be SCM over there. So that is where how you relate the which data entity is the and what it's the system of record in system in your landscape. So that's the reason you whenever you set up the integration, you always set up the integrations from the system of record of for an example order towards the other systems over there. You don't push the order from outside into the ERP system. ERP you create order because the ERP system should manage the orders into their system itself on that. Just keep in mind the system of records and data entity related to that one. Quite very important. One of the examples could be just to extend this one. For example, there are certain attributes of the customer get managed in a CRM, but the other customer attributes get managed in a different system. So we'll talk about in a little bit more into detail of that one. So where you can have a multiple system of records for particular data entities. So moving further, we talked about the system of record, but just to make you might be a little bit confused, there is another concept, the MDM concept called single source of truth, SSOT, or you can also say source of truth. Source of truth is a trusted data source that gives a complete picture of data object as a whole. If I put this particular sentence, okay, I don't think so you can make the connections between the system of record and source of truth. So what I did, I put down the differences between a system of record and source of truth. So what exactly difference between? So take an example of products over there. Okay. So at the top, you can see the business process, design, sales, and shipment. Design here, it means introducing a new product, okay, into the particular organization over there. Means the selling of the product, okay, to the different customers, and shipment is nothing but a logistics around. And these are the application systems, the product hub, data hub, where you introduce a new product or update a new product or delete a product. Then we have a in sales, okay, we also have a product over there, but you require a little bit of different attributes of the product. For an example, the pricing over there. And in transport mechanism, you require a logistic related product information. So it means I have product data or product attributes, but in the product data hub, you keep the product name and description because that is more relevant for product data hub. In CRM, you keep the pricing of the product, and in a transport management, you keep the logistic related attributes of the product. So three different systems storing three different set of product attributes over here. So it means if you look at the diagram at the bottom over here, okay, I'm saying for system of records are three in that case, and a system of truth, the product master can be derived from product name description that coming from product data hub, pricing from CRM, and logistic related attribute from a transport manager. Here is the product master gives the complete overview of all the attributes of the products in this case, and it is it's called a source of truth. Not necessarily source of truth could be a systems or something like that one. It could be a plain simple Excel in which you mention about all the attributes of products and which are the systems are owning that particular attributes. Or this could be technically could be a data store, data warehouse, or a data lake. That also kind of a technical implementation. Some organization go up to the extent because they respect the data quality to be at optimum state over there. That's a high level difference between a system of record, nothing but a system, and a source of truth is nothing but a combination of system stored that records, and that could be simple Excel or could be a data lake over there. Keep in mind. So moving on, another concept from MDM, which is nothing but a canonical data model. So in a traditional integration landscape, you have a point-to-point integration from system A to system 1, 2, 3, and in combinations of that one. The disadvantage of that one, there are too many lines if you can see over there. So it means too many integration points, difficult to manage, not scalable solution. But when you are using a canonical data model, you can have a one single data model that is abstract from the system A, B, C, and system 1, 2, 3. But this is the model in which the data steward identify what is the central data model name of that particular attribute versus system A, B, C, and 1, 2, 3 over there. So basically, this is nothing but a common definition within your landscape. For an example, your customer name, if you call it as something like a customer name without a space or something like that one. So that's the name that define in an organization wide. And that could be the customer name, could be a different naming convention in a system 1, 2, 3, 4 or some, for an example. But if anybody want to talk about the customer name, we are talking about a customer name over there, okay, without space over there. So that's the naming convention we use. But the main thing is that how we should use that canonical data model in the integration landscape. So just to give a little bit of more dimensions to that one, um, remember for in integrations, we also use the enterprise service bus. I think there is a typo, there is a hub, there should be a bus over there. And consider an example from a product data hub. Okay, the data goes to the enterprise service hub, then it goes to the CRM and ERP and logistic, because when you introduce a new product, it needs to go to the CRM for selling, ERP for order management, and logistic for a transport over there. So that's the reason from product data hub, the data get pushed into the enterprise service bus, and enterprise service bus is pushing to the CRM, ERP, and logistics system. And we can also have a reporting and analytics on top of a product data hub, and also could avail the third party services, for example address validations, not in this case a product data hub, but for different kind of a validations if you want to have, you can have it in a hub over there. So how it related to the canonical data model, so let me explain that one. So what you do, so first look at the legends at the bottom. The HDM means the source data model, TDM means the target data model, and CDM means the canonical data model. So when you get a data from product data hub, okay, it's an of course in a HDM format, okay, the source data model, and you need to convert into the CDM. So that converted into the enterprise service bus itself. And from enterprise service bus, the data from a CDM model can be transformed into target data model. So it means to maintain a single repository CDM in your enterprise service bus, and then you can translate between a source to enterprise service bus and from enterprise service bus to the target systems over there. It's normal common tendency to use such kind of a the designs in integration landscape that make things easy. For example, if there is a change in one of the attributes in a product data hub, you can easily modify the CDM, and you can map the additional fields from a CDM to the TDM in that fashion over there. It's quite a stronger way of building the integration in the enterprises. Moving on, okay, so another topic, the hierarchy management over there. So in the Salesforce, we also have something called the account hierarchy, the parent account and the child account. So that kind of hierarchy is also part of the MDM stuffs around that one. You can build it natively, or you can build it in a custom way, or you can have the native such kind of a hierarchy management over. Recently, introduction of the DNB also enables you to build hierarchies within the Salesforce systems over there. Few of the important point about the hierarchies, there also need to be a way to have the visualizations of the hierarchy, and also the access level is very important because by default in Salesforce, if you have access to the child account, it's not necessarily you need to have access by default to the parent account. So that also need to be managed within a Salesforce with respect to sharing rules on over there. So in a Salesforce by default, it having the hierarchy. Okay, that's something that the data stewards can build around that, and people can use it to take care of the sharing mechanism on. There is also one kind of a small hierarchy within a Salesforce that is about a user and a manager, but not exactly hierarchy over there, but still that's one kind of a relationship still exists in a Salesforce behind the scenes. I'm just touching base upon the MDM concept with respect to the what we have it in a Salesforce. Just keep in mind if suppose there were questions in the examination. In the data migrations, we'll have a full-fledged data migration and data archiving session next week, but I just want to quickly touch base with respect to the MDM considerations around that part. You really need to plan a strategy when you are planning to do a data migration for the interim period, because for the interim period of data migration, you could say that I would like to continue with a legacy system as a system of record until the full rollout for all the countries has been completed for the newly introduced system, and that could be a Salesforce. So it means till that time, we will call a legacy system as a system of record, and you will set up the integrations accordingly around that one. One of the important consideration during the data migration is that when you complete a data migration, but still your previous system is in operational state, it means there is always a create and update of records are happening into that system. So you also need to consider with respect to the data migration. So any new data got generated, you also need to push it system over there, or you might be considering of the real-time integrations because your rollout to all the countries might taking 1 or 2 years or something like that one. So you need to also consider of the real-time integrations. But the important thing before you even start a data migration approach, I would say, to define the system of record for particular set of data. That's very important because it could be possible that a certain objects and fields are mastered in Salesforce, but other objects and fields master in Data Hub or another system. One of the example I can give it to you is the for the customers, the few of the fields are mastered in a Salesforce, especially when they are in a suspect and a prospect state. But when they become a customer, okay, there are some additional field required. Enrichment need to be done in the downstream system. For an example, ERP with respect to the customer logistics informations, where to send out the products and all those kind of stuffs over there, and also the billing addresses and other stuffs around around that particular customers can stays in a ERP systems. So you need to consider, okay, which for which attributes the system of records, which system it will be. But we'll talk about the data migration a little bit more in our next week's session. Managing data conflicts. So it is common to have data conflicts, okay, and if suppose there are two systems carrying the same data, okay, not same data but also having some variations of the data, then you also need to define which are superseding the data attributes for that particular record over there. We'll talk about a few techniques in a couple of slides, but in this slides talk about, okay, setting up the system of records for data objects. That's very important to start with that one. And as I explained, the few of the customer attributes can or could be a Salesforce, and for few of the rest of the attributes, the ERP could be a SOR system of record for those ones. You can also consider using the central data hub. Some organization do that one, like a customer or a product data hub, from where, like in shown in example over here, the product hub and all the product information sent to the Salesforce or supply chain management, management via integrations using the CDM model over there. So that is also one of the technique by which you manage the data at one place and you send out to the multiple systems over there. So you also need to take in account the your integration approach. So the main important thing to take away from this slide: define the primary systems, which should be storing the particular set of data objects, and you can call it as a system of record for that particular attribute sets. So moving on, another important step, the external data for enrichment. So recently, the Salesforce comes with the Lightning data. So that's one of the substitute for as they are decommissioning the data.com. So recently they come up with the different Lightning data app exchange product. You can see that one in the screenshot, for example, DNB or HG. So Lightning Data is nothing but a plugin within a Salesforce that Salesforce created. It's kind of a open CTA where other companies like a DNB or Inside Views can integrate their product for the data quality within a Salesforce. So now these companies can be region-based provider specific data set to enrich customer data, for example. So in that case, you can also have the, for example, just to give you an example, for customers, you can have the number of employees, the turnover, those kind of information, very, very useful for the account team to target their revenue with respect to the sales that they can get it from a DNB and inside view companies over there, and they can use it in their own Salesforce instance over there. There could be also address validation service, which is quite useful, which can also the third party or also the mobile number validation. That is also one of the important service that can be used with respect to the third party. Can From Apex, and you can use that one to make sure that your data quality is optimum. And especially with the Salesforce, I must tell you that because the Salesforce is the system, which is the first system with respect to the inceptions of the prospect and suspect and for customers, it is very important to have a data quality that comes in a Salesforce optimum at the first stage, because this is the first place where the data get into the your organization system, and then it from Salesforce it might be going into your CPQ engine, or it might be going to the ERP system, and most likely the data from a Salesforce gets copied onto those systems over there. Of course, there might be another validations in those systems, but this is the first place where the data get entered into the whole enterprise landscape in your company. So make sure that you are using a right app exchange product. Okay, some of them might be are free to make sure that you have a optimum quality with, and also have additional data that coming from a different system or different companies that makes your salespeople more happy. So moving on, so how to define a golden record? Okay, the source of truth, and there are multiple techniques for that one. So for an example, the problem statement is that you have two records, but they're talking about the same prospect, for an example, but it might be possible that one of the record having a little bit more information, advanced information, and some of the record having less information, but still the crucial information, but related to different attributes compared to the record one in that case. So how we are going to do a matching policy by which you can combine those two records over there and make and say that okay, the source of truth is the one single golden record about. So with a matching policy, you can have a two different way, the deterministic matching, especially useful when you have a full set of data available with you so that you can compare the data, and you can also might be use external ID from a third party systems to make sure that to do the comparison, and you can come up with a single record instead of two records. The second one is a probabilistic matching, where you provide your weight against matching score, and based upon a score we provide a presentation to the business. Okay, please tell us actually the which record should be considered as a master for this one. And it could be comparing with the address fields or a tax ID fields, which are kind of a standard for a particular customer or prospects. And also we have also something like a data survivorship rules, and I think it's quite readable over there. It could be most recent, most frequent, and most complete. The most recent is the data that you are using in a day-to-day life, and that's the survivor record that you need to retain in your system. Most frequent match the informations for the correctness, and the repeating records indicate that information is persistent and reliable over there, so you can really use that one. And the most complete, where you have most of the data on the records available and populated, and you can use it as a particular golden set of record for your system over there. So these are the kind of the rules, okay? It's not something like it's an MDM concept, okay? Not necessarily something will be there in the examination, but just keep in mind from the knowledge perspective with respect to the MDM, okay? This kind of a techniques has been deployed by the data architects. Then I guess the last topic in MDM about the data survivorship techniques. Okay, I will not go too much into detail, but just I would like to provide a few overview around that one. The first one is the trust and decay. So when you migrate the data from legacy system into the new system, for example, Salesforce over here, you should not migrate all the data into the Salesforce system or any other systems over there, because data get older and older and then it become obsolete. So try to bring in the only latest and important data relevant to the business from the older systems over there. So that's most important thing that you need to consider. Also, if you are creating a master data management system, you can also assign a trust level for the data sets over there. And if you have a more trust, then from some of the because some of the data coming from system A, for example, might have more trust compared to the data coming from a system B. That is also possible, and you can cherry pick the thing that you require to keep the data survive. The validations, one can set up the validations rules based upon that one. Your trust score that defined in first point may increase or decrease. For example, you can have a phone number validations that may possible that most of the phone number become absolute because of the validation that rule you put down, because of that validation rule, some phone numbers might become completely useless for your SMS marketing, for example. In a precedence, you can define the different business rules, which rules validation rule need to be applied first. Okay, I will not go in a complete text of that one, just to give an overview, but just keep in mind that there are some data survivorship techniques can be used in an MDM concept. So that was the last part. So what we learned so far? So we talked about the base layer application strategy, right? The system of record, system of differentiation, system of innovations. These are the different ways, but mostly for the system of records related to the master data management, we look at the definition of the master data management, accountability, stewardships, okay, semantics, and all other stuffs that need to be taken into the concept of the master data management. When we talk about the system of record, a system which designated for a particular set of data entities and it attributes and owning into that particular system landscape. When we talk about the system landscape with the data entity mapping, where we can map the CRM with the customer informations, then we also map the logistic informations with respect to the logistic transaction systems over there. And we also talk about the source of truth, okay, where the source of truth could be coming from a multiple systems, and that's the big difference between a system of record and a source of truth, and it could be a Excel or it could be a data lake or any other implementation if some organization want to go for it. Then also we talk about the canonical data model and how it is useful in the integration landscapes. We talked about the use case around that one. Then we talk about the hierarchical management. We can have a hierarchy with respect to the accounts and a user as well within a Salesforce. Then we talked about the data migrations. What are the MDM considerations? Okay, do we need to keep the old system for a longer period of time because of the rollout, and do we need to define a SOR for the older system for a longer period of time in the interim and establish the integrations in between? Then also we talked about the managing data conflicts and how to do that one, to define a system of records properly, and data steward need to take actions before the start of any project. Then we talked about external data enrichment. It could be address validations, or it could be the DNB implementations that you can have it over there. The phone number validations could be one of the steps around that one. Then we talk about the data matching techniques, okay, deterministic techniques and a probability. techniques that we talked about, and we also talk about the data survivorship techniques, where we talked about the trust and decay validations rules and a business that need to be done over there. So that's more or less regarding the MDM that we learned today. And I have a few scenarios. These are not a question, but kind of a scenarios, okay, just to brush up the knowledge. So the first one is related to the company called Dreamland, okay, using a Salesforce for their sales management. And next to that, they also have an ERP system for order management. And once the opportunity closed successfully, okay, the opportunity and opportunity products must be integrated with the ERP instantly. And all opportunity data must be read only in an ERP system to avoid any modifications into that one. So what are the solution considerations for to fulfill this particular requirement? So if you apply all the knowledge that we learned so far from the MDM, okay, so let's talk about, okay, what are the important points that we can take away from the discussions. We can define the system of records, okay, for opportunity and opportunity products, it could be a Salesforce, and for orders, it could be a ERP system. And all the opportunity fields must be read only in a ERP from a security mechanism, because we want only the opportunity fields should come from a Salesforce and get integrated into the ERP over there. We need integrations between a Salesforce and ERP to send out the opportunity products upon successful completion of the opportunity. It could be outbound message sent to the enterprise service bus, turning into the Salesforce data model into the CDM, and from CDM to the target data model of the order management systems. So those are the considerations that you can take with respect to this session. So the main important takeaway is the integration, CDM, system of records that we define for this particular scenario. So this is not a kind of exam question. This is just revising what we learned so far with respect to the actual scenario. There is another scenario. Okay, so the iLimited is facing issues with respect to the duplicate records and discrepancies between a Salesforce and multiple on-premise systems, and how master data management could help company to resolving the issues. First of all, we need to adopt a data management strategy to be in a place for this one, and also identify and system of record for different entities over there, and also find out the golden record, okay, which could be encompassed in a multiple system for it, and also define the integrations between various systems, and disable write access for certain fields in the system where no one should able to update the records, but the data is coming from the master systems. The main takeaway from this one is the integration, source of system of record, and also the source of truth in this. So that's the conclusion of the master data management, fully conceptual, but I try to provide as much as example as possible in this one, just to correlate the things within an organization around this part. So the next part is the metadata management. But before that, I just want to know if you have any questions on the previous session, especially on the master data management, because we are in a topic, we can still take a couple of questions and we can move on.
I have one, Vinay, and that is related to the previous slide, but actually it was so. What should if you go back to the previous slide, Vinay? My question was particularly about. So there can be two possibilities. The first possibility is that there is no MDM at all in a company. Then we have to implement MDM. So that is really good. That's like we can make new MDM, and that is a way we can define the gold record, and that is a way we can work on. In this scenario, this is a second scenario where Salesforce is already there, MDM is already there, but we haven't done the activity of defining the golden record. So yeah. So my question is, if I take this specific concept and if I have to go the whole thing, then what should be the best strategy? Like even before starting the CSO, we should make sure that we have a proper golden record management or the MDM integration strategy in place, even if it's a new object and it is all the information already there in MDM.
Yeah, so that's a good question. Okay, so let me As a normal, any architect would say actually it's a depends upon your strategy around that one to start on the project itself. Not every company can afford a special master data management system like a customer data hub and a product data hub. For an example, in a small enterprise, okay, they can consider a Salesforce of the customer as well as for a product data hub within a Salesforce. So within a Salesforce, they consider customers and a product information is the master into that particular system. But in the bigger organization, they can have a separate system for a bastard for the customers and product, so that they can also send out information to the different systems, and also they can manage in at a single place over there. In that case, Hari, the point here is that a master data management is a concept. It's up to the
Mhm.
organization how they want to implement. So if they want to consider, okay, they can manage the customer and products within their Salesforce. Okay, just be it. It can be possible. No problem with that one. But in a certain scale of the operations or for a bigger organization, it is not possible because they also need to integrate with the other downstream systems. So then in that case, you need to have the pure master data hubs, which are also given by the different companies over there, and they can use and they can also have integrations around that one. So it's up to the organization which level they want to go. For an example, uh, one of the company, for an example, is a kind of a small company. They manage their whole sales and also the order management kind of a steps. Okay, uh, within a Salesforce itself, quite lightweight kind of a step, not a bigger implementation. They can have all the data available within a Salesforce itself, like a customer and products and pricing and everything. For them, the system of record for those entities, in that case, it will be a Salesforce in that case. So, so so that's kind of a trade-off, I would say. There is no such kind of a thing which is like the kind of a master data management. Okay, it should be there at a first place. Okay, but you might not have a brand new system just to manage that one unless you are a bigger organization.
And so what I'm getting, so as per you, the recommendation is if you have MDM, make sure that you're using it.
You are absolutely spot on that one. So that's where the data stewardships and accountability comes in a picture over there. You manage your data properly with, within that particular ecosystems and make sure that no other system is modifying your golden record over there. That's most important thing.
Got it. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Vinay. I have a question on the same, right? So let's say we have an MDM and then MDM it feeding to 4 or 5 different system, and one of the system is in a Salesforce, which is more over in a customer facing environment. Uh, for example, right, let's say the company information or the contact information is not mastered on a Salesforce, it is being mastered in the MDM, right? And we are using already that all the updates will anyway will happen in MDM, not in a Salesforce. Now, uh, let's say the users who are sitting on a Salesforce talking to a customer and customer says, okay, the number you got is not correct. Can you please update my number? Because the number previously you got it is no more in use. I have moved on to the different number, and we update it in a Salesforce. So how would we ensure that, because we don't want to put in a multi-directional update, right? Otherwise it will become point to point. But in that case, we also want to update our MDM so that we have the most updated accurate data to build the trust again back to MDM. So how would we handle this scenario to make sure that the changes which are uh, happening on known MDM database, but important to keep the MDM data live?
Yeah, I got that one. Okay. So the thing is that in this particular your scenario, if you think that for a contact information, the system of record is a Salesforce or not? That's the first question. Okay. In your organization, if the answer is yes, you can maintain the system of record for those contact attributes within a Salesforce, and then you need to build the integration towards the MDM to update those contact related information to the MDM. Then MDM is publishing those contact and other information to the all the downstream systems. So in that case, what this is kind of one of the master data management implementation style, where the source systems taking the data and they are the system of record for those particular attributes over there. then they are pushing the data to the master data management, and master data management update the record within their system. And master data management is also making sure that update goes into the downstream system, so the data is consistent across Salesforce, master data management, and all other systems over there. This is one of the implementation pattern. I didn't talk about MDM implementation pattern today, but this is one of the pattern that we can use to make sure the data is consistent across all the systems.
Okay, that sounds good. But let's assume that we don't want Salesforce or any other cloud. Let's say they have a community cloud or a marketing cloud or maybe some other system which is in a customer facing, maybe in a portal where they can update their detail. So even though those are not master is MDM, but again, we have a channel from where we can get the update. So how would, as an architect, right, I would implement a solution that my system may not change the MDM, but there should be a mechanism to hear out these systems, which says that there is a change to the master system, and master system should accommodate these requests to make sure that they are keep updating themselves. Otherwise, we'll have a data which is not getting updated.
Yeah, so in that case, the same story again, actually, in this case, Manmohan. So we need to have integration in place. So there could be a data stewards at a MDM. He might get a request and he can validate and he can update the record in a master data management. But if there are record flow is too high, it's better to automate the process on a master data management over there. But I think the integration is the only solution in that case. And that is also very important stuff, which is the system of record for those kind of attributes. That's something somebody need to be defined by that steward, data steward in that particular organization. If that particular set of attributes that you are talking about, if he thinks that the attributes can be managed within a Salesforce, okay, as a system of record over there, in that case, sending that the solution which I provided to you, that sending a data from that particular system towards the master data management and master data management subscribing and sending the data to the all other systems, still a viable solutions on that case. But if suppose if he says that for those particular records, the system of record is not a Salesforce or a community or something like that, one kind of a steps over there. So in that case, we need to have a mechanism by which the request get routed to the master data management. And in a master data management, we can have an automated or a manual process to make sure that we are updating our records or rejecting our records, either one of them, it could be possible. And then the data goes into all the systems from the integration between a master data management and other systems in that case. So basically it's completely driven by the data steward guy, what he defines as a system of record for those attributes that you're talking about over there, and based upon that you can have a solution for that.
Mhm. Yeah, no, thanks. Only one
Okay,
last question.
I,
Sorry,
I,
but
I I just want to add on your point, like how it happens in our company. So we have master data management. We Our starting point for accounts is Salesforce. So first we collect, or the reps have most of the information, so they collect and they create the account, and that goes into our master data management. They check the quality and all the stuff they do there, and once it's kind of quality check, then it is sent to all other systems. Now, when it comes to data update, some of the information like phone numbers and emails are actually that is received by reps. So it then again their starting point is Salesforce, but all rest of the information are kind of logged down in Salesforce for reps to change. So for all other rest of the information, the point is always our master data. They make their changes, and that change flows into all other system including Salesforce. But for these key fields like emails and your phone number, the flow is from Salesforce to master data. It's like that.
Yeah, it makes sense. We have the same way of to have the validation in place within our ecosystem, where the rep can update only selected attributes of the particular account. Uh, but in a suspect and a prospect state, they can update everything related to that particular account. But once it become a customer, okay, then that record goes to the master data management. Then the master data management take care of the supporting all those master data management related all those things, and also the security in a place in a Salesforce that certain attributes in a Salesforce cannot be updated in that case. only when that particular account is a customer in that case. And the master data management is also responsible to have kind of a additional checks, for an example, the credit checks and all other stuffs, okay, that get locked in master data management, and then it send out information to the Salesforce and other systems within our organization over there. So exactly the same scenario that you are talking about, we have it also in our organization as such, but that's only for a customer. But still, for a suspect and a prospect, we say that MDM, not MDM, the Salesforce is the system of record for that one. But for customer, the system of record, certain attribute stays in MDM and a certain attribute stays in Salesforce as a part of the system of record.
Yeah, thanks for the explanation, Vinay and Bhavna. One last question, and after that, I'll go back to mute. So, doesn't it we are moving back to point, because if we give an access to, let's say, for a certain field to all, say, system MDM and then ABCD, now each ABCD can update the certain fields back to MDM, then we are not staying back with our canonical model, we are again back to point, isn't it?
Not really, I would say. This is the strategy of your organization, the way you want to build that one, because you are defining the system of record for particular data entity into the multiple system. That's the reason you are tend to do such kind of a integration architecture in step from Salesforce to the MDM and from MDM to back to the Salesforce again over there. Because certain attributes you are saying that the Salesforce is a master, and for certain attributes the system of record stays in the master data management. So that's the reason you have a two-way integrations in that case, and still it's not a point-to-point because in this case the master data management is sending a data to the multiple systems over there, and they are sending in a CDM manner. So in that case, it is not point to point. Actually, it is kind of a publish and subscribe mechanism over there. So it's not a point to point in that case. And the other systems from a Salesforce and other, okay, we need to send it to the master data management. That's another kind of integration that goes into the master data management. So I won't say it's the point to point. I would say it's a publish and subscribe from the master data management to the downstream systems, and from other systems based upon how you define a SOR system of record, you build integration into that system just to make sure that you are respecting your master data management policies within all your organizations. So number of integration will increase the way you set up or decrease depending upon the way you set up your master data management policies within your organization. So it is up to that particular data architect to take a call how they want to maintain a data into their ecosystems over there in that. And depending upon that, your integration policy will change.
Yeah, makes sense. Thanks, Vinay. Yeah, that answered my questions. Gil, I
Yeah,
think,
I think Gil do have a question. I think Gil, if you can go for it.
yeah, please go ahead for it.
Yeah, hi, guys.
We are not able to hear you, Gil.
Yeah, my audio is not so
Okay.
Okay, yeah, let me read out your question then. Okay, so the question is, Vinay, about an earlier slide, we talked about SOR. What about a system of innovation? Namely, is it another layer of SOR or evolution of SOR? What is the relationship between them? So the question is available on chat if you want to read it one more time.
Don't know, but I got a question actually on that one. So mostly the MDM master data management concept, okay, get applied to the system of record. And because system of innovation and a differentiation, you try it out the few business entities, okay, data entities, and you throw it and you implement or you reconfigure or something like that one. So just go into the one by one actually in that one. We talk about a system of record. Let's go with the system of differentiation over there. In the system of differentiation, you can still apply the master data management over there, okay, but keep ready for a change, I would say in that case, because if you are doing a configuration, okay, then it's still fine. You can still apply your master data management concept over there, but make sure that you need to think about the system of records, the golden record in after 2 3 years once again to define your or redefine your strategy around that part. With respect to the system of innovation, I would say it might be very, very difficult to implement that particular master data management part. But if you are touching, even in the system of innovation, touching to the system of record system backend, for an example, ordering or something like that one, still the master data management concept stays over there. But with respect to the data that is close to the customers, with the digitization, so the data that's very much surface to the customers on a day-to-day uses over there through the mobile apps and all that, it might be very difficult actually to apply those concepts over there, because the master data management concept are there to stay, and especially to taking care with respect to the system of record and system of differentiation, but might be very difficult to manage it for the system of innovations over there. The system gets changed. Nowadays, you get a plug and play system for a marketing, you get a plug and play system for the SEO and all those kind of things. The things might get changed, and if you do not have a quick way of changing, then it's very difficult to manage the master data management system. But having said that one, if the system of innovation getting connected to the system of record or system of differentiation, still there is an element of the master data element over there. You can say that for orders, still my the ERP is my master ERP is still a system of record, but for an example, any marketing related stuffs, okay, my system gets changed every 1 or 2 years or something like that. It's kind of a give and take around that one. So still there is a master of data management element is there, but in a heavy on a record, bit kind of a partial in case of the system of differentiation, and very lightweight in terms of the system of innovations. Yeah. Does that answer to your question?
Gil, is that? Yeah, yeah. I think he says okay. Thank you.
Shall we go move ahead with the master data management or metadata management?
Yeah, guys. Any other question before we move on? Uh, Looks like no. Yeah, we are good to then move on. Yeah, thanks, Vinay.
You- So metadata management, I think this is not a theoretical steps. Okay, this is something that you see in a day-to-day life, but might not be thinking that okay, this is the metadata for an example. And there is a few concepts which are closely related to the Salesforce, so you guys able to relate that one. So what is metadata? So I will read it for you. Okay, just read it along with me. Metadata is information that describe various facets of an information asset to improve its usability throughout its life cycle. Kind of a very, very theory definition over there. But if I want to talk about what is the metadata, it's nothing but it's a data about a data. So think about the standard object or a custom object within a Salesforce. So you say, okay, this is the object, account object. An account object, I want to create additional custom fields around that one over there. This should be a data type of text, for an example, should have a minimum or a minimum characters of or maximum character of 50 or something like that one. So that's the metadata about the whole story about talking about a data about a data. So data is going to store in that one, but you're talking about how it will look like over there. Anything and everything that you deploy in Salesforce with the metadata XMLs over there, which talks about okay, all the sales process rules, the custom fields, standard fields, and all the steps around that one. Okay, so everything in around that one is nothing but a metadata of your organization over there, in which you define the some certain rules and data stays within data that turns information into the asset. And in general speaking, it's more valuable the information asset, the more critical is to manage the metadata about it, because it is the one which provides the understanding that unlocks the value of the data. So in short, it's about a data about a data. So in Oracle terminology, if I say I have a table having a different columns, that's nothing but my metadata. So same goes analogy in a Salesforce with respect to the object and fields around that part. It's not that much complex with respect to that one, but in a metadata we also have a different concept and a different kind of a variations metadata types, or how you organize your metadata over there. So I will touch base on some theoretical concept around that one, and later on we can put those analogy with respect to these. So what we will learn today, okay, I think we already talked about the definitions and there are certain metadata types that are talked about, the data dictionary, data taxonomy, data lineage, classifications, and heritage. And then we will touch base upon the self-host features. The more already you are aware of that one, there might be few questions, might be an examination I can around that part. And just to take care of that when you are already quite adverse about those features before going for certifications. So the metadata types will go each one into detail around this part, the dictionary, taxonomy, the lineage, and classification. The data dictionary. So I just gave an example few minutes back. Okay, it's nothing but a kind of a business glossary. Okay, that can be managed by the data stewards within your IT organizations. For example, data entity contact, the field name, first name, data type, text. Uh, Field size or something, the descriptions and examples. Some people go up to the extent where they also state about the system of record for that particular data entity and data field over there in front of it. I haven't put down over there, but if somebody want to do, they can do that one. Also, from the source of truth point of view, they can also put down, okay, where it lies into that one. Because one of the example I gave it to you, the product, some of the attributes are kind of a system of record is CRM. It could be product data hub or a logistics. You can also have that whole data dictionary available over here and studying about this particular attributes. Okay, the master in this particular system over there, system of record, and this is all those kind of stuff you can put down. That's nothing but a data dictionary. There are few software that you get it to maintain this data dictionary, but if not, no worry, you can also maintain in a plain simple Excel over there. Okay, that is possible to do. It is not very complex one. This is about managing your real estate, about the metadata within your organization over there. Somebody should take care of that one. So if suppose any request comes for additional new fields from a business, it need to get validated by that particular data steward. And then once he approves, then you can implement in a Salesforce and other downstream systems. There might be also impact with respect to the integration, and that's the way the people should work within a master data management space with respect to the data dictionary over there. So data dictionary is nothing but a holy grail within your organization about the business glossary, how it got defined. So if it is get defined, then you also know, for an example, if somebody asks you a question, where are the suspects are master? Okay, you can look at the data dictionary and you can find out, okay, for suspect, okay, Salesforce is the master over there. But for customer, the master data management hub, customer data hub is the master in that case. You can get those all those answers from a data dictionary without having a single meeting around that one if you have. So moving on, the data taxonomy is the way of classifying the informations in a hierarchical manner. So I just gave an example over there. We can have a vehicle,
Uh,
then
Sorry, when I one question on a previous slide. So, uh, if we have a multiple system talking to our MDM, should we keep a one single data dictionary for everything, or we'll have one data dictionary for each system?
so the data dictionary is across organization. Uh, so basically, it talk about doesn't matter the data gets Salesforce or order management or any other system. You always have a certain data entities, right, in your organization, like a contact, order, account, for an example, those kind of stuff. So you always maintain a one data dictionary across all these systems where the system of record is stays over there. So one data dictionary for entire organization.
Makes sense, yeah. Because then we know, right, that if we are saying contact name, if it would be size 25, then it would be 25 everywhere.
You are right. And I just gave an example of contact, but it could be a simply in a data entity. I could fill logistics, orders, and other stuff that from a different system other than a Salesforce over there. So this is not limited to the Salesforce I'm talking about.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
So coming back to the data taxonomy, way of classifying the informations, we could have vehicle, but vehicle could have two types, commercial and a passenger. And in that also we have a plane, truck, train, and a passenger side. You can have a car, scooter, cycle. In terms of the self-hosting, you can have an account, but account might have a suspect, prospect, customer, and in each state we might have a different field to populate because for suspect and prospect you might have a more marketing field attached to the accounts compared to the customers over there where you might have more information related to the billing and the shipping address and all those kind of stuffs over there. So this is the way you generally come up with the the way it get arranged. Also, I can give an example of opportunity products within a Salesforce, which is kind of a hierarchy, the way of classifying the informations around that one. Okay, so there are multiple steps around that one. So when you look at the ERD diagram, schema builder, go into that one. Okay, you might able to pull up some relationship between a different objects over there, and it could be something might be a hierarchical ones around that one, customer having assets, for an example. So those kind of a many multiple relationships we can establish, and you can classify the information in a certain hierarchical manner. Another one is the data lineage. Okay, I will not put too much stress on that one, just to keep the things for your concept over there. Data lineage is nothing but the pictorial representations about how the data gets changed from one system to another systems over there due to the business processes over there, and how we can have the visual representations of that one. It could be used especially for designing the business processes where the data get transformed from A to B and B to C or something like that one. So you can see the marketing, uh, some of the informations on a customer get changed into the CRM, and that particular data get changed into the ERP, and then for the reporting purpose over there. Not to put a too much stress upon that one, for certification might not be very important, but just to keep a concept that okay, you can derive the business processes, that is nothing but a visual representation that can be done with the data lineage over there. It's not that much important for the certification, but just as a concept, just keep in mind back of your head somewhere. The data heritage, another lightweight concept. Yeah, please go on.
One good question. So I'm finding slides very interesting, Vinay. Thank you very much. So what on this slide, right? It's very interesting. So when we put in a flow of the data, right, it tells me that how my data is traveling. Uh, does it also cover that when the data is being sent and received, what kind of changes we make over there? I mean, how do we capture it, right? If you can just put a little bit more light, right? Like previous slide, we talk about that we have an Excel which talks about that entities and attributes. So for lineage, how we will prepare it, right? When we prepare in a flow, it's just in a flow chart which says A goes to B, B goes to C, and or we also talk about when it go from A to B, what would be the data shape, what will get changed and things like that. Just to put a little bit more light on it.
Yeah, so normally in an organization, you normally do not create a data lineage, or that concept is not there. But if I talked about few things like, for an example, integration document with the mapping steps around that one, okay, which where the where the data transformation happens from the source data model to the target data model, okay, or the CDM in between, and then the target data model. That's the first one, and the second one, in your most of the organization, they do have the business analyst, right, who works upon the business processes that work across. And as a part of a business process, okay, it may go over multiple systems, and when it goes over the multiple systems, you also have the mapping of the data from one system to another system, what it's called, and all those kind of stuffs. So when you see a data lineage over there, it's a combination of the documentation of the integration, the mappings around that one. It's a combinations of the documenting the business processes within your system itself, and that help you to find out, okay, the data lineage. But normally in our organization, at least in our organization, we do not create such kind of a data lineage stuffs around that one. But if somebody really want to make out the data lineage stuffs, okay, they can create a pictorial pictures around that one. But also that information could be easily residing in the integration document as well as the business process documentations over there. It vary from organization to organization, the way they would like to have this information get surfaced and use it in a day-to-day life.
Yeah, thank you.
So it depends upon organization, Manmohan. Okay, I would not say that every organization should go for a data lineage. They might not have a certain the resource capacity to do that one, but you might already know that for integrations we build the API documentations. Okay, we build the mapping documentations, business
Yeah.
process documentation, which might be exact the same stuff that you are providing with the data lineage. So it's not different over there in that.
Yeah, because the reason I was asking this question is, uh, I work as a senior solution design capacity. So we do prepare on a document which talks about, right? You mentioned that integration specification documents. Sometimes we also prepare the flow chart, sequence charts, and things like that. But this is new to me, so I was more interested that is that something which we are missing at our organization?
So we are not missing. It's the same stuff, okay? But that's what I'm trying to tell you that it known as the data lineage in a master data management concept over there. But you might be already doing that exercise behind the scene, right? Okay. If I see this one, we are already doing that one. I don't think, but nobody knows the name called data lineage over there. But that's the one that we already have it in most of the organizations.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the data heritage very quickly, a short one. The data heritage represent the metadata about the original source of the data. So for an example, for suspect, you might have the Salesforce is the original source of data, or could be a marketing system that brings the data. You might have a landing pages with a marketing cloud from where you gather the data over there. So it's just defining the original source of that particular data over there from where it comes from over there. It could be external system which bring the address validations into the system, or or other stuffs around the customers, like a number of employees I mentioned, and also the turnover that come from a DNB for an example. That could be the original source of data over there. So for every data there has to be a source, right? I can't imagine a data comes directly from the heaven. It should be somewhere the one of the systems or manual entry or something like that one should be there and need to be documented somewhere in the data dictionary over there. Just keep in mind, just for your reference. Then the data classifications, very, very important with respect to the security and data model, not only for Salesforce, but for other systems, the restricted, sensitive, and non-sensitive, and public information. Be careful what you are putting in a public. And from public, there should not be a link or something which goes to access to the restricted, and make sure that the restricted access, restricted stuff is restricted with respect to your sharing rules and sets over there. Okay, and making sure that mask the informations whenever possible, or where you do not want to show that information to other people, like a credit card details and all other kind of stuff. So, okay, very careful about that one. In a Salesforce also there is the Shield platform which provides the encryptions around that one, 256 encryptions, and the normal encryption that we have it in a the platform in the Salesforce platform, which is nothing but the 128-bit encryptions over there. Just keep mind keep those things in the mind actually when you do the classifications and all those kind of stuffs over there. Sometimes happens that you have the external identity for Salesforce users, but for administrators you try to keep the Salesforce identity, so that if suppose the external identity goes down, still people can access the system. But in make sure that if those employees, those administrators are leaving, you are deleting or you're deactivating their user to make sure that they will not able to access that information. So this could be the easy way actually that the people can really find out anything about whatever the data within a systems over there. So make sure that when you are defining any custom object, okay, or any additional fields on a standard object, make sure that you define the proper security models around that one, and have a less restricted access as much as possible, and expand it only when it's needed over there. It's better less access to the different profiles compared to the full-fledged access in the first place over there. Also think about the apex sharings and other stuff. So, okay, keep in mind around that one. So I'm just trying to relate to what the data classifications might be correlate to the security within a system itself. Okay, just take care of those during your self. Okay, so now we are talking about the self features. I think most of the stuff that you already knew, but I'm just putting into the context of the metadata management over there. So just to start with the event monitoring, okay, you can find out the loggings, logouts, the URI, the web clicks in a Salesforce Classics, okay, the API calls, API executions over there. You can get the file, okay, and able to view it after the and download after 24 hours over there. And I found also very interesting app available there, the Salesforce CLF Hurucook.com, where you can see the log files. And if you just open this link, okay, it will ask for the OAuth application, and then you are able to see the log files, and you can also filter on time scales and all those kind of stuffs over there. I found out very interesting because earlier you used to download the event file, and then you used to search manually over there. But with this app, it's quite fantastic. You can find out the all the things that you would like to have it over there. Quite interesting one. Just have a look at it over there.
So this event monitoring would be a part of Shield.
No, it is a part of the standard package. Okay, over there. Okay, I think you can see everything around that one. It is not part of a shield. The shield is normally used for the encryption of the platform, especially some of the Salesforce implementation used for the quite sensitive of data information is inside in it, where you really use the shield over there. And shield is a completely different product just to encrypt the whole data set in the system over there, because the basic platform, the self-service cloud, okay, they do not provide encryptions only for a certain fields that you can have it like a credit card and all those kind of a thing. But the shield is completely different. This is out of box available in the normal license.
Yeah, I think we also have something called event monitoring in Shield, but I'll check it offline. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be there, but I think this is also there in the normal one.
Yeah.
Actually, I logged in actually few days back, and I with that Heroku app, and I can able to get the information.
Okay.
The main one is the field. Next one is the field history tracking. I think you already know. You can open it from the object manager on a certain object over there, and you can set the history tracking. You can do it on a certain our standard plus the few set custom object over there. Also check out the documentation mentioned below. There might be some few limitations around that part. Okay, you don't want to put the history tracking on for all the different fields. You need to take into the account that some of the fields, okay, on which you can put that one, not on all. Okay, just try to have find a balance between where to put the history tracking on and off. The next one is the audit trail. Okay, this tells you about the recent setup changes that has been done. So if suppose the data is leaking somewhere, okay, if you get a complaint and all those kind of stuff, okay, you can also find out if somebody made changes into the profiles or any permission sets around that particular part. Okay, and if you are having a multiple administrator, it's very difficult to find out like who done what. Actually, that's where actually you can find out who the specific administrator did that particular change over there. Quite very important for from the security point of view within a Salesforce over there. Okay, to so that's the reason I would also strongly suggest to have the changes to be done via the continuous integration. That will make sure that we have only the Jenkins user doing the deployments into the systems, and administrators are not touching. Of course, there are few steps. Not everything can be deployable with a CI/CD process. So in that case, you need to do something pre and post deployment states. Okay, where only the certain admin do that one. But if suppose somebody uh, making some changes which should not be, then of course it's able to track with the audit trail history over there. Then metadata types, very interesting one. Actually, I really like this one, the feature within a Salesforce over there, the custom metadata types, where you can have you can have the uh, kind of a configurations of the whole organization, I would say actually. Okay, so and by which you can change the behavior of your application, and importantly, it can be deployable using the packages. So you can have the mapping with respect to the fields. Okay, you can store it, and you can have a lookup of those metadata from your Apex or somewhere else on that one within your system. You can define certain business rules, how you want to behave the applications within a Salesforce. And also there are few fields, okay, for can have the organization level stuffs. You can master that one, like the VAT rates and other stuffs around that one. But interesting one. So basically, why I personally like the custom metadata types, because it can change the behavior of the applications by changing the field value. So if I want to change the behavior of application, I just go in a metadata set types, change the values, and application will behave differently around that one. So this is also kind of a metadata concept to the metadata management within a Salesforce, but also. Think about all the things that you deploy is nothing but also the metadata in the Salesforce context over there, the metadata XML. So sometimes you also might need to review that whole file over there. But this talks about the custom metadata types and how you can effectively have the application around that. So what we learned so far, okay, we talked about the metadata definitions, also the types dictionary, which is nothing but the business glossary, the taxonomy, the classifications, the lineage, the business process combinations with the integrations, mappings, and all that one, and how the data gets changed from one application to another application. While moving on, we talked about the heritage part over there, which is nothing but the source of the particular data sets. We talk about a few Salesforce features, the event monitoring, field tracking, and audit trails, and a custom data types over there. Coming back to the scenario for metadata management, so consideration of documenting metadata types with respect to the data architecture while working on a Salesforce project. So what you can consider the standard object, custom fields on a standard objects, custom objects, fields on a custom objects, record types, master data relationships, lookups, those kind of stuffs. And also I'm in the preparation of the CTA. Also, when you design a data model, also keep in mind what are the different set of objects that you are doing over there. For example, standard object, custom objects, external big objects, and all those kind of stuffs over there. And also the possibility of the data volume in that particular object, but that's not a kind of a metadata stuff, but also keep in mind different stuffs of the objects that you can use it in a Salesforce over there and document it over there. So that's the key concept over there. And if you open up a metadata XML, you can find more and more metadata types, the sales process and other stuffs. Okay, that might be very relevant from the Salesforce point of view over there. But the metadata concept, it's not restricted to the Salesforce. Of course, it's a very generic concept, and in any different application like in Oracle or a Microsoft, okay, they also have their own metadata types, like a metadata.xml within a Salesforce, and the way you deploy the stuff from one system to another, from sandbox to the production, so they might have some different concept over there. The second scenario talks about the mention the responsibility of the data stewardship manager while implementing a Salesforce for their sales and service organizations. So first thing foremost, okay, they need to define the system of records and the source of truth. Okay, that's very important. Create a metadata repository as a part of the architecture reference. So we have in our organization, we have in a Confluence, we define all the standard and custom object and relevant fields. We have the documentation in place. So first thing that when user story comes up for a new field, somebody really need to make a change over there and have the approval from architecture board to have that additional field to be introduced within a Salesforce. Okay, so because if you do not have that one, what will happen after 2 or 3 years of Salesforce implementation, you might have a 200 300 fields on a certain objects. Okay, and there might be some fields might be doing the same stuff that it was doing before, so some duplication of the fields over there. So try to reduce that as much as possible and try to reuse as much as existing field as possible, uh, if the data is same. Then run the key reports to determine if people are providing record informations into that particular objects or that, and you can give that to the business and ask them, okay, please inform your business all of the business peers that why they are not populating the field, because that might be deriving a value for the lead scoring, for an example. And if the data is poor itself in the first hand, okay, you can't do the lead scoring properly over there. So make sure that you are not your business stakeholder, they are populating the data for certain objects. Then review metadata XMLs to find unnecessary fields. So once in a year, we take the initiative within our organization to clear our technical depths. So any unnecessary fields that we see over there, we try to get away from that one and try to have a bare minimum metal that's running in a Salesforce. So we are working on a concept called less is more. The less fields that you have it over there, it's very easy to control and all the things around that part. Okay, and consolidate the things as much as possible. That's very important. And also review your security model, because one of the design meeting that we had, okay, we came up with the new feature for the case merge that Salesforce lately released, but that will not work if you do not have a delete access for the old case. Okay, that need to go off on that part. So There is also some security stuff that comes in a picture with respect to the duplicate records, if any. This list is not complete. Okay, there could be many more things we can do it in a self-host to manage the data in a proper fashion over there. So just think about it when you go for any implementation. Okay, is there any impacting my third-party system with respect to the data? That's something I need to get approval from the data architect to have additional fields over there. Okay, do I have already a field which is doing the job for which I'm about to create a new field in the system? Just ask those questions yourself, okay, to get the answers, and then it's become once you put it that one into your practice on a day-to-day life, then it become a habit for you instead of thinking that okay, what I need to do when a certain field need to be introduced within your systems or anything with data management over. So that's the way of thinking. So uh, I want to give it to you, and I think that's all from my side. So I think that's the session on a master data management and a metadata management. I hope you learn from that one. Um, I also already provided a scenario which help you actually to with respect to the thinking in with respect to the how to implement in a particular scenario. Okay, those kind of steps. The next session that coming up is for the reporting and and data migrations. Okay, that will be conducted by Bhavna next week at the same 9 o'clock around that one. And yeah, and that's all more or less. But if you have a questions on the metadata management, just I'd like to open the floor for that one.